Here are 45 producer tips I cannot live without. My goal is for you to learn at least just one thing out of this video. Of course, I'm saving the best for last, so if you make it to the end, comment below what you learned or something that I missed. So we've all tried to drag in a MIDI into the piano roll but accidentally dragged in a loop. To get rid of this, all you need to do is press Alt-N. Have you ever tried to open up your mixer channel and you don't see your master channel anywhere? All you gotta do is press this little black bar right here and it'll open up. The way you possibly got rid of it was clicking here and you didn't realize. When you have all your presets set to one pattern and you want to split them up, all you gotta do is go right over here, right click, and press split by channel. If ever you want to quickly render out your pattern as an audio clip without dragging it to the playlist, heading over to file and exporting it as a wave, all you gotta do is right click and do quick render as audio clip. It'll automatically do it for you, and now you have it set right over here. So we all have heard of Halftime, but a lot of us don't want to have to pay for a plugin like that. A really good free alternative is called Deja Vu, and it's by Cymatics, and it's just as good as Halftime, if not some people argue better. Here's my melody without Deja Vu. And now here's my melody with Deja Vu. Later on, I show some good mixing tricks for Halftime that make it sound a lot better. Now I'm going to try to give you a quick crash course on how chords work. Your first note is always your root note. Then you want to skip the first white line that you see and go to the next one. You want to skip the next white line that you see and go to the next one. This is your first chord, this is a major chord. The way that you could tell that this is a major chord is because you got a gap of 3 right on the bottom half and a gap of 2 on the second half. Extending on this major chord, traditionally what you want to do is you want to follow the white lines, but if you were to drag this note down, this makes it a minor chord. Yes, it does go on the black bar, absolutely nothing wrong with that, it just makes it a minor chord, which makes it a more darker, sadder, more deeper tone, and this usually works traditionally with R&B and lo-fi. However, since we're forcing a minor chord here, some minor chords come naturally, such as placing one here. Extending on our major chord, the next thing I want to talk about is sevenths, and sevenths is all about skipping the next white line and adding one here, and now you have a major seventh. Cool rule of thumb that I like to follow when counting sevenths is you count the white lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To make a minor seventh, we work with our next chord that we know works as a minor. All these examples were shown in a C major scale. If ever I want to work in a C minor scale, all I do is I click this arrow above here, I go over to view, I click scale highlighting, as you can see C major. If I go to C minor, all my notes should naturally be in the minor scale if I were to skip them. If ever I wanted to copy my notes over, one thing I used to do is I used to highlight them all and then I'd shift click and drag it over. A better method would be to just simply click Ctrl B and you just copy your notes over infinitely. Simply holding Ctrl up moves your note up an octave, and then holding Ctrl down moves it down an octave. Holding Shift up moves it up one note, holding Shift down moves it down one note. You can also use the side arrows to move them to the left and to the right. When working with lo-fi and R&B, intentionally placing your notes out of key helps it give it that vintage, authentic effect. When working with chords like this one, holding Alt-S gives it a strum effect. When creating hi-hat rolls, I used to make mine like this, which is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that method, and I still do use it, but an even better method that I like to follow is I'll drag one of the notes, I'll highlight it, I'll hold Alt-U, and this adds a chopper, which you can enhance or mitigate to however many sort of like rolls you want to add, and this is how it sounds, for example. So if ever you want to arpeggiate some notes, but you're a little bit too lazy to manually put them down, or you're kind of drawing a little bit of a blank, all you want to do is highlight your chord progression that you make and hold Alt-A, and this will bring up the arpeggiator. With the arpeggiator, you can set the time multiplier, so how fast you want your notes to activate, along with a gate, which acts as sort of like a release if you're working with like presets that have a little bit more tension at the back, and you can also set the pattern. So here's how to make your melody sound a lot less plucky. So what you're going to do is you're going to get fruity reverb, and you're going to lower the dry, which acts more of an attack, and then enhance the wet, which acts more as a release. This is going to make your melody come off a lot more smooth. And if it still comes off as too plucky, just keep playing with it until you find something that works. One thing that may come off as super obvious and I completely took for granted was to layer your notes. It just adds so much more depth. I'm sure we've all gotten into the habit of lowering the velocity of our notes like this, but a really cool trick to sort of like speed up that process would just be highlight everything, hold Alt and your scroll wheel, and you could do it all at the same time. Continuing on velocity, a really cool method to make your melodies and your hi-hats come off a lot more natural is to hold Alt and R, and this will add a randomize effect to your velocity, which makes some notes stand out a lot more than others, which gives it a more real, natural feeling. So this is without it, and this is with it. It's subtle, but those subtle changes really do make a big difference. Another really cool velocity trick, if ever you want to evenly disperse how low you want the velocity of notes to go, you highlight the notes that you want to gradually lower, and then you start on the first one by holding right click and then just simply drag down, and it'll evenly disperse it. As you can see here, each preset has its own mixing channel. A really cool trick you could do is you could put all these presets together in one channel. So for example, I have preset number 1 highlighted. I'm going to go to all tracks, right click the arrow on the bottom and route to this track only. Do the same thing for preset 2, and then I'm going to do the same thing for preset 3. Now whenever I press play, all the presets are going to be running to the all tracks channel. Now what you could do is you could do all your mixing and mastering onto that one channel. I don't like to do that. I still like to do it on each preset. The reason I like to do this is because I like to divide up my melody and my drums so that if ever the artist or the producer wants to just work with the drums and the melody, that's it. There are channels that can do that, but it's just a really cool method. Continuing on this, as you can see here, I have all tracks selected and I have halftime. This is what the whole mix is going to sound like. Now I know this doesn't sound good, I just wanted to use this as an example. The thing that sucks about putting all your effects on the channel that your presets are all attached to is that when you export the track stems, they won't be applied to the individual track stems. So this effect won't be applied to preset number 1, 2, or 3 on its own. It'll just be attached to the channel that they're all attached to. Now the trick to apply the same effect onto all presets at the same time is, let's say I really do like this effect, and let's say it's not something as simple as just adding the effect. Let's say we did like a bunch of modifications to it like this. Things that would be really hard to replicate on each and every single preset. All you want to do is you want to head down to this down arrow, hold save preset as, and drag it to preset number 3. And now it's set to preset number 3. And then you want to save preset add, drag it to number 2, and then save preset as and drag it to number 1. Now this effect will be added to all the other presets, and you could simply delete it on the track stems here, on the all track stems. So each, what do you call it there? Each preset has the exact same effect added. So when you export the track stems, they're all going to have the effect on each of their own stems, on top of them all being attached to the all track stems. Apologies if this one was confusing, but I just really like to put all my melody presets into one channel and all my drum presets into another, just so it's a lot more simple for the artist or the engineer to just quickly grab the melodies and grab the drums and then just lower or increase the volumes of those. But if ever a mixer or an engineer wants to work with each and every single track stem, this is a really good method because it applies the effect to each and every single track stem. This one is really quick and simple, and I heard this from a YouTuber years ago, and I don't remember which one it was, and I really wish I could shout them out, but it's a really cool trick to make your kicks hit a lot harder. All you want to do is just highlight the kicks, simply drag it down, and you're layering it. I just left these ones out because I want you to hear the difference between the two. Something so simple if you really like to have beats that have kicks that hit hard. Listen to this 808 pattern. You can hear that the old 808 is just layering the next one, and that 808 is layering the next one, and then the next one, and then it's just a continuous cycle. A really cool trick that I like to do is I like to go to the channel rack, click on the 808, head right over here to the envelope, and then I want to lower the attack, increase the hold, lower the decay, sustain, and release. Now this will add an immediate attack and immediate release effect to your 808. And this is really good for when you want to do like those 808 rolls like this. The EQ on the top is for my 808, and as you can see, it's very low end dominant. A really cool trick to make your 808 stand out in your beats is to go into your melody, which is the one below, and lower the low ends, so that way that they're not fighting for the same frequency. This one is just a quick plug, but it's completely free. When I was starting, I was struggling to find a drum kit, a decent one, and I created a drum kit. I think it has like 85 sounds or something like that. So if you're looking for a drum kit, it's completely free. I don't even ask for an email. I just want to give back. So yeah, just if you're looking for drums, download my drum kit. This was something that really used to annoy me. So whenever I wanted to change the scale and the key of the piano roll, you click up here, you go to view, you go scale highlighting, and let's say I wanted to do C major, right? If I clicked major, it automatically kicked me out. And then I'd have to go back, and then I'd have to go to scale highlighting and click on C. Well, automatically went to C. But let's say I want to do C minor. If I click it, it's going to kick me out. So the trick to stop that is to right click, and it'll keep you in, and you can change it to whichever one without kicking you out. If you want to do D major, F minor, just right click and it won't kick you out of that menu. Talking about Deja Vu again, this is my melody here without Deja Vu. This is my melody with Deja Vu. Now if I take the mixing knob here for Deja Vu and I go half, you're going to hear both of these effects playing at once, which acts as sort of like one main melody and one counter melody, and it gives it a really cool overlay effect. A really cool automation clip trick would be to get Fruity Filter, head over to cutoff frequency, right click, and then create automation clip. I have one here. What I'm doing right now is I'm cutting out a good portion of the frequency, which adds a sort of muffled sound effect heading into a gradual build-up. So take a listen. Did you know you can create a tight beat video in FL Studios without having to use any external editing softwares? Head over to your master mixing channel, head over to the visual presets and open up this visualizer. And as you can see here, you got your main panel and your preview of what your video would look like. Simply head over here, go to image effects, click on image, then go to add content, add a picture. Once you've added your picture, you head back to the main panel, head over here, you click on what you called your image, and then you simply just click export video and you're all good. Just a little interesting thing I think everybody should know. We all know that this here is a bar, and what's highlighted here makes up a bar, but did you know that every one of these little frets or whatever are called beats? So these four are a beat, these four are a beat, these four are a beat, these four are a beat. So you got beats and bars. Just something interesting I thought I should throw in there. So here I have a melody. A really cool simple trick once you've exported your patterns as audio clips is to reverse them and pitch them up or down. Here it is reversed and pitched up and down throughout the melody. Reversing and pitching your melodies is always a really cool method to making something unique. This is one that I cannot stress enough and I talk frequently on my channel, is to use Flex. It's completely free. You may not have it immediately installed on your FL Studios. All you gotta do is get it at Image Line, but you get 1,550 presets completely for free. You can filter them out from keys to pads to leads, to dark, to soft, to whatever it is that you're looking for. It's a very, very unique tool, which you can also manipulate each and every single sound that is given to you. Here's just an example of how much you can change a sound in Flex. When right-clicking on any volume knob, I'm going to use the master channel as an example. You can create an automation clip where you can manipulate the volume mid-beat, such as making a fading effect at the end of your beat. And you can use this in a lot of clever, unique ways. When working with effects, you can right-click on the mixer knobs to create automation clips. By doing this, you can completely take out the effect or enhance it during the beat, such as a gradual buildup of Deja Vu here, where I really enhanced it so you can hear the difference. All automated. Next thing I want to talk about is how to format a beat. There's no right answer. You can do an entire verse leading into a hook, leading into a verse, ending with a hook. You could do hook, verse, hook, verse. You could do hook, really long verse, hook. As an example here, I have a little 8-bar intro, a 8-bar hook. What is this? About a 16-bar verse. I have a double hook, so 8 bar makes a total of 16. It's just repeating. And then I have another 16 verse right over here with a gradual buildup into an 8-bar hook, and then a 8-bar outro. So a gradual rule of thumb that I like to follow is 8 to 16 bars for a hook, traditionally 8. If you're doing 16, it's sort of like a repeating hook, and then about 16 bars for a verse. So this is a piano I really wish I knew about a lot sooner. It's called Labs from Spitfire Audio. I'll leave a link below. It's completely for free. And this is the piano that I was using earlier when I was talking about the strum effect. It's incredible for lo-fi and R&B. It's just so chill. It's amazing. It's high quality for being free. Now, a really cool combo with this piano is Origins from Cymatics, where you can add a vintage lo-fi sound effect by heading over here to the factory, hitting lo-fi, and it's just an incredible vintage effect. Take a listen. Now, obviously, by layering and making a really cohesive lo-fi melody, you can really make a good lo-fi beat with this effect, but this is just to give you an idea of how it works and how it sounds. Going back to Flex, well, one thing when I was starting and I was really struggling with was finding really good guitar presets that I didn't even know I had, and Flex here alone has 45 free high-quality guitar presets. Flex also has 50 bass guitars, which I grabbed one over here, and I copied the root notes of my main melody, which I'm going to copy over to my bass guitar, bring it down 1 octave to give it a natural bass effect. Now, another free tool by Cymatics is called Memory, and this adds a sort of windy yet natural effect to your melodies, and this works really, really well with guitars to give it a sort of mellow, trippy vibe to it. And if you don't like how windy it is, you can enhance this smooth knob here or change the preset, which I'll show you examples of. It's a plugin I think works really well with guitars and other sort of chill vibe beats. Sometimes we're working with melodies, we'll hear a sound or a whistling or just something that is really standing out that we want to completely get rid of. A really cool trick on doing that is getting the Fruity parametric EQ, grabbing one of the knobs, using the scroll wheel to scroll it down and really thin out the line. If you scroll it up, it widens it, and you just play around until you find that whistling or that frequency that you completely hate. Say it's right over here. You then head over to the right, grab this knob and bring it straight down to lower that specific frequency and that specific sound. One thing our beats can sometimes do is something called clipping, which means that it's going over a certain DPI, which can ruin your overall mix. I enhanced my master channel here to emphasize what clipping looks like, but one way to fix it, if ever your master channel is at like a decent level and your beat is clipping, is to add a Fruity Soft clipper, and that overall will help with clipping. So if ever you're trying to find the key to your own beat or the BPM or key to a loop or sample, I always like to use TuneBat. You simply just select file, you upload the audio file that you're working with, and it'll pretty accurately tell you the BPM and the key. Now this next one is not a sponsorship. Obviously, I don't get any sort of financial benefit or anything by telling you this, but if you're thinking about spending money, I really do recommend Arcade, because you get what you pay for. It's a monthly based subscription. You're not putting hundreds and hundreds of dollars down into something that you may not like. You actually start off, I believe, with a free trial, and you get what you pay for. So if you use Arcade for a couple months, you only pay for like $30 rather than spending $500 into something that you're already bored of. So if you're somebody who's thinking about spending money and don't want to break the bank, I really recommend getting something like Arcade, where you can work with unlimited samples. It's endless. Unlimited samples, unlimited sounds for all types of genres, and you get vocals and keys and really cool leads and pads. Again, this is only if you're thinking about investing money. I really recommend something like Arcade. This next tip is a format that I like to follow if ever I'm having beat block, or maybe you're just struggling with melodies in general. First off, I like to start with my main melody. This usually is a key or a belt. I then layer that melody with any other preset I think goes good with it. I then grab a pad and I create a simple chord progression. I then follow that by a lead of some sort and create a counter melody. And for my counter melody, I traditionally like to do the exact opposite of what my main melody is doing. So if my main melody has quick, rapid fire notes, I sort of like to do extended long notes. If my main melody is traditionally going down, I like to make my counter melody go up, and vice versa. This final tip took me a really long time to learn, and some of you probably need to hear it as a boost of confidence, but there is no right way of making music. The thing I noticed with this industry is that there seems to be a very big stigma of everything needs to be done a specific way, which it doesn't. What really matters is what you think of your own music and how your music makes you feel. Some people are gonna fucking hate what you make, and other people are gonna absolutely love it. A good example, and the proof in this pudding, is there are some artists out there that you absolutely hate, that are mainstream. You hate them. And there's other artists that you absolutely love. And there's some people that absolutely hate the artists that you love, and there's some people that absolutely love the artists that you hate. And it's the same with your music. I think it was Riley Beats that said there's no right way of making music, which really did change my perspective on it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's whatever you like. And obviously there is good and bad beats, but if you make a key Glock type beat and somebody tells you, oh, that's more like Young Dolph, it's the same shit. You can make a Wiz Khalifa beat sound like a Lil Durk beat. You know what I mean? It's, everybody's gonna nitpick. At the end of the day, it's whatever you intended that beat to be. That's what matters. If you made it to the end, thank you so much, and feel free to subscribe for more content like this in the future.